Hello everyone, you're welcome to Lizama Stitches. My name is Amaka. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make a kimono jacket. If you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I upload new videos. So let's get started. So these are the fabrics I'll be using for this tutorial. Now this is 4 yards of fabric and this is 1 yard. So now I'm going to fold this fabric into 4. Now this fabric is folded into 2. I've folded it into 2. I'm going to fold it again into 4. Just like this. So I've folded it into 4. In case you don't understand how I folded this fabric, now this is how I folded it. I folded it into 2. I started by folding it into 2. And I folded it again into 4. So that's how I folded this fabric. Now this kimono jacket is going to be a cut together shoulder. I'm going to start by taking my vertical measurement. Now shoulder to waist is 17 inches. And shoulder to hip is 26 inches. The full length of this jacket is 60 inches. So this is 60 inches. Now I'm going to mark 60 inches here plus 1.5 inches hemming allowance. Now I'm going to extend the points with horizontal lines. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take the neck measurement. The front neck depth is 3 inches and the neck width is 3 inches. The back neck depth is 1.5 inches and the back neck width is also 3 inches. So I'll connect the points. Now take note, the front neckline is going to be a V neckline and it's going to have opening, but for now I'm just drafting the basic neckline. I'm still going to do some alterations on the front neckline. Now I'm going to take the shoulder measurement. Half of the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 8 inches. Now from this 8 inches point, I'm going to take the sleeve length. The sleeve length is 16.5 inches plus half inch seam allowance gives you 17 inches. Now from this point, I'm going to come down by 2 inches for my shoulder slant. And I'll connect it to the neckline. So on this point, I'm going to mark the round sleeve measurement. Half of the round sleeve measurement I'm working with is 13 inches. So I'm going to mark 13 inches here plus 1 inch seam allowance. This is 13 inches and this is my 1 inch seam allowance. Now what I have from here to here is 16.5 inches plus my 1.5 inches band is going to give you 18 inches. So my sleeve length is 18 inches. So I'm going to check what I have from here to here. Now what I have from here to here is 25 1/4. So I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to mark 25 1/4 here and I'll connect this point to this point. Just like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to come in from this point, I'm going to come in by 1 inch and I'll mark 1 inch and I'll connect this point to this point. Now this is going to make my sleeve to sit nicely. Now on the waist, I'm going to take the waist measurement on the waist point. The waist measurement divided by 4 gives you 9 inches, plus 4 inches for ease. You know it's a free jacket, and 1.5 inches seam allowance. On the hip, I'm going to take the hip measurement on the hip. The hip divided by 4 gives you 11.5 inches, plus 4 inches seam for ease, and 1.5 inches seam allowance. So on the hem, I'm going to take this same measurement on the hem. The hip divided by 4 gives you 11.5 inches, plus 4 inches for ease, and 1.5 inches seam allowance. Now this is optional. You can also use 1 inch for ease or 2 inches for ease, depending on how free you want your jacket to be. But this particular jacket, the client wants it to be big. That's why I'm using 4 inches for ease. So after that, I'm going to connect this point to this point. Now you remember that I came in by 1 inch from the main line. Now from that 1 inch that I came in by, I'm going to connect it to the waist point. And I'm going to connect the waist point to the hip point. Just like this. Take note, this is my waist point. I'm connecting it to the hip point. And I'm connecting the hip point to the hem. Just like this. So for the neck, now I'm going back to the neck. I told you that the front neckline will be a V neckline and it will have opening. So I'm using 7 inches for my V neckline, and I'm going to connect that 3 inches point. Now from the 7 inches point, I'm going to mark 1 inch for the opening. I told you that the front neckline, the front has opening, right? So I'm using 1 inch for the opening. So I'll connect this point to this point. So now I'm going to mark this 1 inch down. I'm going to mark this 1 inch. I'll mark it to the hem of the jacket. And I'll connect the points. So I'm going to connect this point to this point. I'm just going to blend the neckline, the V. I'll just blend it up. Now I'm going to start by cutting the back. Take note, now this was the first line that I ruled. From this line, I came in by 1 inch, just for my sleeve to sit nicely. Now I'm cutting from the second line, not from the main line. So the next thing I'm going to do is to remove the back. I'll remove the back and I will finish the front. So I'm going to cut it like this. I'll cut from the neck to the hem. Okay, let me start from the lower part. So the next thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to start by joining the shoulders. I'll bring the back panel. I'll place the front panel on the back panel, right side facing right side, and I will join the shoulders. I will start by joining the shoulders. After joining the shoulders, then I'll join the sides. So this is the back and this is the front. So I'll place the front on the back and I will sew the shoulders right side with half inch seam allowance, right side facing right side with half inch seam allowance. After that, I'm going to sew the sides with 1.5 inches seam allowance. I'll sew it down to the hem. So I'm going to do all these things that I just said and show you the outcome. So after sewing, this is what I have. I've sewn the shoulder and I've also sewn the sides. So now for the collar, I have my collar here. I've ironed interfacing on my collar and I folded it into two. Now my collar is 2 inches on fold. I'm going to use it to finish the neckline. Now I'll show you two ways of doing this. The first way is by placing your collar on your jacket, right side facing right side, and you sew with half inch seam allowance. You sew from one edge, from one point to the next to the other, just like this. You sew with half inch seam allowance from this point to this other point. And after sewing, you use your overlocking machine and overlock the edges. So that's the first method. The second method is by sewing. Now the second method, you sew it in such a way that when you turn to the right side, you will not see the seam allowance, and when you turn to the wrong side, you will not see the seam allowance. The seam allowance will be inside. Now let me illustrate with pins. I'm going to hold my jacket and the collar and I'll sew with half inch seam allowance. Then after sewing, I'll use this other part to cover the seam allowance. To hide the seam allowance, I'll put the seam allowance inside and I'll top stitch. Now when you turn to this side, you will not see the seam allowance, and when you turn to the wrong side, you will not see the seam allowance. So I'll sew from one point to the other point. So for the sleeve is also going to have band. So I'm going to do the same thing on the sleeve. I'll place the band on the sleeve, right side facing right side, and I'll sew with half inch. After that, I'll hem the lower part and show you the outcome. So after sewing, this is what I have. I've sewn the collar and I've also sewn the sleeve. I've sewn the sleeve too. So now when you look at the collar, you'll see that you will not see the seam allowance from the wrong side and you will not see it from the right side. Now I had to sew the sleeve. I had to sew the band on the sleeve a different way, just to show you another way you can sew the collar, just like I explained earlier. Now I had to place the collar on the sleeve, right side facing right side, and I sewed with half inch. After which I'm going to use my overlocking machine and overlock it. So you can also do the same thing on the collar. You can also sew the collar the same way. So that's just it with this tutorial. If you found this tutorial helpful, please click on the like button. Share this video with your friends. Share this video in your sewing groups. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Feel free to ask questions. I'll be in the comment section to answer all your questions. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.